Welcome back everyone, and in today's video I will be showing you how I grew 20 pounds of cucumbers with one raised garden bed. So I managed to grow these within 2.5 months. I'm going to show you how that happened. So this cucumber variety is called Poinsett 76 cucumber. It is an heirloom variety, I believe. I'll put a picture up for you. This cucumber variety has done exceptionally well in this hot, humid climate of South Florida. So this is definitely a winner here variety. And you can tell in this raised bed, I have no irrigation. It just depends on whatever rainfall I get, which tends to be heavy during, and that's me popping a cabbage worm right there. That's what I do. When you see the leaves bent like that, you can tell there's a pest there. So you can see that this raised bed is loaded with cucumbers. I probably planted more seedlings than I should have, but it worked out in the end. And I planted these out in July. I started them mid-June, the seedlings, and I just planted them in this raised bed. All I did was give them a little bit of calcium boost for flowering, because I do know that they do need calcium to prevent blossom end rot. So I just put 2 or 3 tablespoons in this raised bed, spread it out, and that was all I did. And you can see the abundance of cucumbers I've got, and I get ultimately about more than 20 pounds worth of cucumbers. Now here was a mistake I made, was growing tomatoes in the middle of summer. The plants grew exceptionally well, full foliage, but they don't produce any tomatoes when the temperature is too high, and we had high humidity too, so they didn't produce anything whatsoever. So it was a ruined raised bed. And I actually started to try growing corn for the first time, which I definitely need to learn, but this is my first corn on the cob here, and it's quite impressive. So that was a little bit of a win. Understanding and knowing how to grow corn in Florida in the tropics is definitely a learning experience, and you can see how well these plants are doing, but they don't produce anything. I want to stick on reviewing the Poinsett cucumbers. You can see how well they were growing here. They're actually growing under a lychee tree that was providing them the right amount of shade and the right amount of direct sunlight. And you can see how big these cucumbers were getting. And I use my shears here just to show you how large each cucumber gets. Once they start getting white streaks at the bottom of the cucumber, I know they're ripe and I will go and harvest them. And they were prolific. I used some tomato trellis to hold them up. I think I used 4 here in this raised bed, and this is just from one sole aluminum raised bed, so they did quite well. I know I probably planted more cucumber seedlings than I should have, so they're really dense and growing tightly together. And for raised beds, you always want to use aluminum in Florida because it rains so much that if you use wood, it'll rot out. So you might want to use gloves when harvesting cucumbers because they are quite prickly. They have these sharp little thorns growing on them. And you can just rub your hand or a glove through them and you'll break them off, so they're nice and smooth. But this is just one cucumber. So throughout mid-late summer, I was getting a whole bunch of cucumbers, and I literally had no time. That was just going about night recording and harvesting what cucumbers I could find. And you can see one's growing right there. So within 3 or 4 days, I was getting several sets of cucumbers, and ultimately these cucumbers would amount to be about 20 pounds of cucumbers. So I was pretty well pleased. There was no real disease issue, and I did not have to deal with cabbage moth eggs at all. The cabbage mothworm only started appearing later on in late season, but by then the cucumber vines were pretty much spent, so I was able to get a decent harvest. You can see how many cucumbers there are here at night. I think the best thing I've learned so far about growing anything is timing. Timing is key. For cucumber harvest, I would plant them, at least begin to sprout them at the end of mango season. So by mid-June, I would be planting the seeds and then putting them in these raised bed by July. And then by July or mid-August, around mid-August is when I would be able to get the harvest. And they were putting out 3 or 4 cucumbers every 3 days or so. So I was pretty satisfied with the results of this variety of cucumbers. So I had the few cucumber harvests so far. I think I had 4 or 5, and I was just leaving them on my countertop. I literally didn't know what to do with them. I would end up eating these first sets of cucumbers, and this is just another vine I had growing in another container. And if you ever see a deformed cucumber like this, just cut it off. Those type of cucumbers are not fully pollinated, so just go ahead and remove them. You can see how large some of these are getting. So with the amount of cucumbers I was getting, I know I can start doing canning projects like making pickles, but I haven't gotten around to that, and these cucumbers are still in my refrigerator. So these clips are every 3 or 4 days. I would come out and record the harvest of cucumbers I was getting and the ones are still in the line coming along. This was another raised bed, which I managed to grow my first corn in the middle of the wet season in Florida. So I was very glad I was able to at least try to get one miniature corn on the cob. So this was another raised bed. This is my edamame, which is soybeans. So please don't call me a soy boy, but this is the good thing that can grow well in South Florida in the middle of summer because of the heat. And there's all these little bean pods of soybeans growing in there. So that'll be another video for another day. And you can see when the cucumbers begin to turn ripe, they'll start turning more of a yellow-white color. And as I would recommend, you don't need to worry about harvesting seeds because you'll always forget to harvest one. As you can see, that white one is overripe, and you can see the different sizes. So that white one I will be using to collect seeds and just dry them. And here are more cucumbers. So you can see how many cucumbers I managed to harvest. A whole bowl full of them, minus 6 I ate. So that's quite a bit of cucumbers, more than what I know what to do with. So I'll probably give them away. So you can grow at least 20 pounds worth of cucumbers. One cucumber is about 1.47 of a pound, and I carry my plate, so I load the cucumbers, and you can see just these were 13 pounds, and I knew I got at least 7 or 8 more than these. So, and there's more on the vine as well. But that pretty much does it, that I managed to be able to grow 20 pounds of cucumbers. I know the first original 6 I should have weighed, but I didn't have time to get around to do that. And the last amount of cucumbers that I got, so this was my last harvest of cucumbers. I got 5 off the vines. I had to pull them. The cabbage moth damage was too much. And I got 2.5 pounds worth of cucumbers just from those 5. So I add to the tally. So that'll do it for this video. Let me know what I should do with all these cucumbers, whether I should pickle them or just have them in salads or give them away. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.